public has been made aware of some of the things that our government did in the past. These experiments and studies have been released through various networks, and it's helped us to understand how and why government officials were doing these tests. Most of these experiments were conducted in order to expand our knowledge, but there's a thin line between furthering our knowledge and taking things too far. When people first questioned our officials about these experiments, most of the time they denied that anything strange was going on, when in reality those who questioned them were right to do so. One interesting experiment that's allegedly being carried out by some of the world's best scientists is that of the humanzee. One US scientist claimed that it's been done, and that scientists and researchers have managed to breed a human and a chimp to create the humanzee. Psychologist Gordon G. Gallup Jr. detailed that he was talking with a former professor when he said that he'd been involved with some interesting research, and this centered around creating a hybrid chimp. This happened at an animal research lab. It's a known fact that the human and chimp DNA is very similar. In fact, evolutionary biologists have said that humans and chimps share 98.8% of their DNA. Gordon Gallup went on to note that this hybrid was created in secret, and he said that years of research showed the team that it was possible that this hybrid could exist, so they went ahead and created it. Gordon said it was done by artificial insemination. The creature that was born was then called a humanzee. The scientists, however, soon started to worry about the implications of the project and what this creature would turn into. Gordon said the project was soon stopped and the humanzee was wiped out. When questioned about the story, Gordon said it came from a scientist that he knew well, and that this individual was someone he trusted, and who had a credible record. When researchers questioned the primate center where the tests were conducted, they denied that this happened, and said that no such testing had ever taken place at their facility. Not really surprising when you consider that what they were doing was probably done with the utmost secret, and those involved were most probably sworn to secrecy. Those who have looked into the story have said that it may have been the case that those working at the primate center may not have been aware that this was going on, and that the scientists involved in creating the humanzee may have taken precautions so that the test wouldn't be exposed. Gordon said the following about the project. In a matter of days or a few weeks, they began to consider the moral and ethical considerations, and the infant was put down. He told me the rumor was true, and he was a credible scientist in his own right. As of right now, he has no hard evidence that the tests were carried out, but as some have said, for every secret project that we know about, there's probably dozens that will never see the light. Interestingly, these alleged experiments led others to look at the bigger picture, and suggest that perhaps scientists have been conducting experiments on animals for years, and that maybe some of these managed to break their way out of their research facilities and make their way into the wild. One of the first major theories surrounding the origins of large hairy humanoids seen throughout the Northwest seems to center around a number of research efforts made by the United States during the Cold War in the attempt to create a humanzee hybrid for the purpose of military applications. Back in 1910, research scientist Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov believed that he could create a superior species for humanity that utilized the physical strength, constitution and ability of the ape, but added with the intelligence of a modern-day human being. This was to be accomplished by finding some way to merge the two species through the use of impregnation in a female population in order to give birth to the superior humanzee army. The research scientists wanted to create an advanced army, but found that the genetic differences between humans and primates was too great to ever yield anything substantial. Shortly after, the project ended as a failure. In the modern day, however, gene editing and other practices makes it more possible to splice DNA to create a humanzee hybrid, and given the United States' past actions concerning advanced projects, it's believed by some that the US military may have continued the research for possible weaponization. This could be the origin of the large hairy humanoids, and explain the large amount of sightings throughout North America, and could also prove why some military soldiers have come forward and said that they've been on missions where they've been told to hunt these creatures. The US is no stranger to mysterious creatures, and Major General Edward Lansdale used the story of a mysterious vampire-like creature known as the Aswang to his advantage. These creatures were said to be humanoid in appearance and had the ability to fly. Lansdale spread rumours that Aswangs were loose in the jungle and that they were going to attack enemy soldiers. All of this unfolded during World War II in the Philippines, and to ensure that it was believable, Lansdale's men captured an enemy soldier and drained the blood from his body, leaving the soldier in the forest so that he would be found, and thus ensuring that the enemy soldiers would believe the claims that a vampire-like creature was on the loose. As the Major General recalled, to the superstitious, the Huk battleground was a haunted place filled with ghosts and eerie creatures. A combat Psy war squad was brought in. It planted stories among town residents of an Aswang living on the hill where the Huks were based. 2 nights later, after giving the stories time to make their way up to the hill camp, the Psy war squad set up an ambush along the trail used by the Huks. The origin of the creature is not known, but various stories and encounters have been shared throughout the years, with eyewitnesses saying that the creature resembles a human with a messed up face, has large protruding teeth, and has the ability to fly while carrying a human. The Aswangs are almost impossible to categorize, as each witness account is slightly different from the last. Given the fact that the country is often torn in tribal warfare, and other incidents surrounding actions of the Philippine government, this has led to a number of stories surrounding areas of the Philippines housing people that are not quite human. According to families at the center of revolutions, they've reported that on the outskirts of forests located away from larger population centers, there appears to be a grouping of inhuman creatures that are impossible to explain, and are a great threat to the Filipino people. These creatures are known as the Aswangs, and have been described as appearing human, and establishing small human towns away from society. Although they might appear completely normal at first, the creatures are described as being completely mute in human form, and will run and hide when seen. If they get away, they will begin to transform and grow large wings similar to that of a bat, and can separate from their lower halves as they fly through the air. Interestingly, legends surrounding the creature are spread all across the Philippines, including stories of people having children with creatures that are born with special powers, or being able to encounter these creatures in hidden alleyways in the city. This has led many across the country claiming to be descendants from the Aswangs, or using the tactics to inspire fear by claiming many of their freedom fighters are Aswangs. Although most believe that the creatures were created in order to instill fear in the locals, there's some who are still coming forward and reporting that they're encountering these creatures in the outskirts of the forest. So was this a creature that was created in order to scare the locals, or did the US create an unimaginable creature that would give them the edge over the war? Another unknown cryptid or entity that's been encountered in jungles and forests is that of the shadows. For years, hikers have been reporting mysterious shadows as they venture deep into the jungles and forests. Those who've encountered them have described them as looking like black masses, and have said they seem to hover through the forest. Those who've seen them have reported that they're often sighted in places that have experienced a loss of life, leading some to believe that these shadows are actually those of humans, and that the spirits have been left to wander the area, reenacting the events before the individual lost their life. Some have claimed that many forests and jungles throughout these regions are actually cursed, and that these shadow entities are some of the most commonly reported cryptids that are encountered. Reports of these shadows have also come out of Indonesia, with locals saying that one of the most popular stories of these entities is that of the mysterious Kuntilanak. According to a number of witness reports, the entity is reported to be a lady dressed in a long white gown, possesses long black hair, and is the spirit of a woman of whom passed away during childbirth. The legend claims that the entity appears only during a full moon, and that if you happen to be too close when she arrives, She latches herself onto you and slowly takes over your body. The only way to know if it's nearby is if you hear the sound of a baby crying softly or a dog whining. If you happen to hear a baby crying loudly or a dog begin to howl, then it means that the entity is moving away and is no longer in the area. Locals say that if you don't close your eyes when the creature is near, it will become so enraged by you staring at it that it will begin to tear your eyes out. Though the shadow's origins and rumours might be shrouded in mystery, visiting these locations might help us to better understand why these shadows are seemingly trapped. So what do you make of these interesting stories? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.